Hello, am I on?
You're on.
Oh, um, so I mean, most of my photography and camera interests are pretty much functional. So I got into photography, back into film photography, mostly with like Polaroid cameras and pack film especially. Um, and I kind of always kind of wanted to find like the next possibilities or the um, next potential thing. So I got into pretty much every possible pack film camera and most of the Polaroid cameras. And the only real hack that I have that I sort of completed was I was running into dead batteries on Polaroid film, like Spectra film specifically, because I was just buying up a lot of expired Spectra film. So I did end up hacking this guy, if you can see that, adding a modified external battery pack for a Spectra camera.
Awesome.
Um, so I was able to, basically just put in any pack of film that happened to have a dead battery, and if it happened to have a working battery, it just unplug this, and then it would revert back to the internal battery. The other stuff that I've been kind of brainstorming just from like listening to the podcast and stuff like that. A lot of the time, I just uh, end up finding that the cameras already exist. Because like I'm interested in shooting something like pack film with a faster lens or a bigger lens or a more vintage lens, and finally picked up a Graflex SLR just recently, and I did speak to Jeff Perry about the possibilities of putting pack film back on that, using other barrel lenses like a faster Pentax 8-inch f2.9. I picked up one of those, but I have to I have to somehow get the probably somehow get the flange off of that because that seems to be glued on. But hopefully I'll be able to stick this onto a Graflex SLR. One of the other things I'm trying to work on, but there's almost too many cameras to ended up with kind of too many cameras to fix and work with. I have more Mamiya Universal cameras than I can even remember, and tons of roll film cameras, the traditional Polaroid pack film cameras. Um, I even I know Simon Forster from the Classic Lenses and Large Format Photography podcast was on here recently, and I remember they were really talking about the into the swing lens panorama cameras. I know you guys were talking about that too. So I finally picked up a Horizon 202, but I haven't shot with that yet. But yeah, I mean, there's so many bizarre and weird cameras out there. I haven't had enough chances to get into any building other than minor modifications and just trying to fix the cameras that I already have actually.
I don't think that a camera already existing out there has ever stopped me from making another one. That's
Uh-huh.
you know, it's kind of part of the fun,
Oh,
discover,
I can see that.
you
But
know.
it's sometimes it's just a time thing where I'm
Oh
just
yeah,
like,
time's huge.
Yeah, that
Which actually
time
brings me
is
to the question that we should have started off with: Is Nick, who are you? What are you, an engineer? Where in the
no,
world are
I live in Northern California. I grew up in Northern California and then I moved to LA and I lived there since like the 90s. And I just moved back a couple years ago. So I live up in Eureka Arcata area. Um, and I used to work as a assistant recording engineer, and then I worked for a while as a web designer. But right now I'm just kind of out of work. But yeah, that's how I and photography wise, mainly got back into film photography about 2012, 2013, and shot quite a bit of Polaroid and instant film, mostly pack film. So I was lucky enough to buy a ton of that. Each time each time Fuji announced that they were discontinuing it, and a bunch of Polaroid expired film. Um, yeah, that's I don't know. That's where I'm at.
Cool. Have you shared? I think that mod for the Polaroid 600s with dead batteries is super clever. Right?
This one was actually for Spectra, the one I made. But yeah, I've seen other people do it for 600. Yeah, it just takes four AA batteries.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Have you shared that somewhere on the internet?
it's on my Flickr from a few years ago.
And where can people find you on Flickr?
Flickr, I'm either Nick Marshall or Mono Distortion. And Instagram, I'm also Mono Distortion. It's on my Instagram a few years back.
Thanks.
Hey, Nick.
And
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I was interested to know how did you connect the battery to the Spectra? Like I have opened one, but mostly it gets broken because I don't have the correct tools to open the Spectra.
Yeah, these are the Polaroid cameras from this era are built with almost no screws. It's pretty crazy design. You have to just kind of lever the parts apart, and there's like maybe a little metal. I mean, I can send you the service manual that shows you how to take it apart. But it's all kind of like little snap together plastic parts, or there's one little metal pin you have to pull out that I use some forceps to grab. Other than that, it's not too hard. And then yeah, you just have to snake the wires in there and solder them to the battery terminals. But some of them are easier. Some people just drill holes into the bottom directly and attach directly to where the battery contacts are, which are more or less right. I mean, I think the SX70s, if you pull the cover off, there are actually holes already on there.
Yes, SX71 has the battery contacts there. I have modified a Model 3 with 600 film, and I'm doing a battery pack for it. But SX70's Model 3s are very, very like plain. They're not like a true SLR. So
yeah.
that's why I try it on that model because it's cordless basically.
Nick, do you have any projects in mind in the near-term future?
Let's see. What was I thinking about? Primarily trying to get a system where I can shoot pack film with an SLR, which is probably going to end up being a Graflex SLR, one that I just picked up, and with just various lenses thrown onto that. So yeah, I mean that's something that I'm kind of trying to figure out. Another idea that I had, which is a little bit more far forward, would be a camera. This is a panoramic camera that would use that would be able to rotate. So it'd be like similar to like if you're familiar to the circuit cameras or like a round shot or even like the current lomography spinner camera, can spin all the way around, but would be basically a Graflock back that would just take normal 120 film, and it would have to have different gearing ratios to be able to adapt to different lenses. But because that's always a tricky thing to move the film at exactly the same rate as the camera's turning, and then you have to adjust it because the different lenses have different angles of view. But that's kind of like a brainstorming idea I've been thinking about.